Good evening. How are all y'all? All right. Welcome to the August regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the East Central Independent School District. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Ms. Barrientos, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Del Brazil.
Present.
Victor Garza.
Here.
James Mulkey. Monique Presses. John Massengill.
Here.
Mr. Bryant, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Our first agenda item, item 2, is an executive session. Closed meeting will be held pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.082, employee complaint, and 551.074, personnel matters. Hear and consider level 3 complaint of Kimberly Parker. The Board of Trustees on August 15th, 2019, beginning at 5:32 p.m., convene in a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. We shall return. All right. All right, good evening, everyone. The board ended its closed meeting at 6:10 p.m. on August 15th, 2019. No action was taken in the closed meeting. We are back on the record in open session, having returned from closed session. The time is now 6:10 p.m. Does any board member have a motion regarding the grievance presented by Ms. Parker?
I move to deny the level 3 employee complaint, and I further move that the board deny all requested remedies.
We have a motion to deny the level 3 grievance. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Massengill. Are there any questions, comments? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for your cooperation. This grievance matter is concluded. Now, we are going to take a recess until 6:30, when we will start up the rest of the board meeting. We have a significant number of awards this evening, and we want everybody to get here and have a chance to be presented their awards, and we get a chance to congratulate them. So we'll take a recess for 19 minutes and be back at 6:30. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We're going to start our meeting again. We actually started our meeting at 5:30 this afternoon. We had a hearing that we needed to take care of, and so we're going to move into our agenda at the prayer and the pledge item. So, Mr. Toscano, please.
Sir, Mr. President, trustees, I'd like to welcome Ms. Gomez, our principal, fantastic principal from Heritage Middle School, to the podium.
Good evening, Mr. Toscano, Mr. Bryant, school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to kick off the 2019-2020 school year. We're definitely super excited. I have 2 fabulous Heritage Middle School 8th graders. They probably look familiar to everyone. But I have Berkeley Colas and Callahan Colas to start us with the pledge and prayer.
Good evening. Will you please bow your heads with me in prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of education. Thank you for these leaders. Thank you for our teachers. As we prepare to start a new year, may confidence be our foundation. May grace be our guide, and may hope be our compass towards a bright future. We pray you will help us see the needs of those around us and give us hearts to be helpers. Please lead us to face each day with positivity. Lord, we pray for your protection over us as we return to school. In your name we pray, amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And so this evening, we're going to share some highlights of last school year at Heritage. And so Callahan and Berkeley are going to share some of their activities from last year as well. So I hope you enjoy some of our few pictures.
Girls Inc. is a program for girls to learn about STEM. And
Things you did.
for some of the things I did, they did field trips. They helped. We did projects that included math, science, technology. Science. We went kayak. We would go kayaking. We did a bunch of field trips to important places.
And so obviously the push is to involve more girls, females in our STEM careers. So, and so we were definitely very fortunate to have this program and to continue it for the 2019-2020 school year. So another program that we do have at Heritage is Humanities. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about Humanities as well.
Humanities is a GT program for students who like to excel in learning. We do projects like National History Day. We did a project last year about cattle drive. We learned about all the people back then who rode the trail and all the cattle drives. At the cattle drive, we read poems, we cooked food like they would back then, and we...
So in 6th grade, the kiddos have a big Indian project, and then next year as 8th graders, the girls don't know this yet, but they have a big debate. So the entire humanities class essentially gets into small groups and they debate each other, and then there's a final winner at the end of the year, and it's a huge event for our humanities kiddos. And so one of the things that they also do is the Odyssey of the Mind, and it's a great event, great opportunity throughout the school year, and they're called the OMERs, and they truly love that opportunity to be able to compete with other schools especially.
UIL Academics is
just another opportunity, right, for our kids to compete against each other in academics. Normally we, think about competitions, we think about band and athletics and all, but this is another opportunity for kids that don't necessarily compete in those other types of activities. Last year was the second year that we had the Gear Up grant. And so these are just a few pictures of our kiddos that attended various activities, including College Quest. And so now they are freshmen at East Central High School. So we wish them lots of luck the next 4 years. Of course, we have an amazing choir department and choir program with Mr. Vernon. And they also go to competition every spring, and so we're very proud of our program and how it's grown in the last couple of years under Mr. Vernon's leadership. Then our amazing band program with almost 400 students in the band program, and so 1 out of every 3 Heritage students belong in our band. I'm sorry, I went. One thing that I did want to add was, of course, we had 3 competition bands, And 2 out of 3 of the bands won sweepstakes at the UIL band competition in the spring, and so we were very proud of our band.
Good, very good.
Girls athletics is another class that we usually have. There are over 360 students involved in girls athletics. We do sports, we compete in sports like volleyball, soccer, we do tennis, technically all sports.
Absolutely.
Boys athletics is another class that we take that involves over 400 boy athletic people. Student council is something you can join. They usually do like can drives.
Penny drives. They've raised a lot of money, mainly with the canned food drive. We were able to provide about 12 meals to different families at the Methodist Church down the road. So definitely a great way to give back to our EC community. We also have a cheer club that started a couple years ago through our PTA. And so we have lots of girls that have joined the cheer club, and they get to go to different events and just to help promote spirit at different events and including athletic events. But they're very gung-ho. We are an AVID school, and so we do have AVID for those students that want to pursue that avenue, and AVID Excel as well. So we have a summer bridge program, and so these pictures are actually both from our summer bridge program, where they spent a week going to different colleges and all. And the very last slide I wanted to present, we are very proud of the fact that our Heritage School, along with our PTA, was nominated as a School of Excellence through the National PTA. And so, huge honor for us. Our PTA has worked tirelessly, and we've done so much this last school year. And so we're definitely looking forward to another great school year.
Good, very good.
Our motto for this school year is make every day count. So we have a nice little treat for all of our school board members and Mr. Toscano as a way to say thank you. And so make every day count, especially with our students here at East Central. So thank you.
Oh, man, it's got your name on it. Look at that. Come on now.
Thank you very much, sweetie. You did a fantastic
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. All right. Well, that was a great start to our meeting. Thank you very much. It's great to see the good things, wonderful things going on over at Heritage, and I'm sure that this coming year is going to be even better than last year. So thank you for showing that to us.
Very good.
Item 5, awards and recognitions.
Trustees, we are very excited about all of the staff that we'll be recognizing this evening. We have a wide range of recognitions tonight to bring to you and our community in many different areas or categories, if you will. We're recognizing our music, fine arts programs. We're recognizing staff who have been working really hard, continuing their education in early child development. We've got some wonderful staff being recognized for their work at the state level through our UT Garrett program, as well as our Texas Health Occupations Association and CTE programs. And so we're super excited. So Ms. Colas?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Toscano, board members, and our community. Thank you for being here tonight. The first group that we would like to recognize, if I could please call up the ECISD Music Education Faculty. We've got Mr. Mize, Mr. Garza, Ms. Brooks, Mr. Vernon, Ms. Skim, Mr. McLevy, Ms. Tonsel, Mr. Atchison, Mr. Lacey, Mr. Anderson, Ms. Renner, Mr. Beasley, and Mrs. Beasley. And I am proud to announce that our East Central music team was awarded the 2019 Best Communities for Music Education Award from the, I don't want to get this wrong, National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. They were awarded because the district demonstrates outstanding achievement in efforts to provide music access and education to all students. So congratulations to our East Central music teachers. Did a great job. Next, we'd like to call up our paraprofessionals who in the last year have earned their Child Development Associate's degree. And I believe with us tonight we have Laura Guajardo, we have Irma Pacheco, and Penny Turknett. If you ladies could come up, and if anyone else was able to make it, those were the three that I was given. Come on up, ladies. We want to recognize you for getting your associate's degree in child development. These ladies work with our tiniest learners, and they have gone and gotten their associate's degree so that they can be well educated to do those things with our little kiddos. So thank you, ladies. Next up, I'd like to call Pam Salazar. She would please come forward. Pam Salazar was named the UT Gear Up Coordinator of the Year across the state of Texas. So, next up, Miss Whitney Waddell, if you'd please come forward.
Oh,
From what I understand, Whitney requested that Mr. Massengale wear the pink sports coat tonight. So Whitney was named the Texas Health Occupations Association Teacher of the Year. Our teachers have had a very busy summer, winning lots of awards, y'all. So next up, if we could get Miriam George to come forward. Oh, and she brought the baby. I want to see the baby. You can bring Evelyn. It's okay. You can bring her up. Bring Evelyn. We want Evelyn in the picture. So Miriam, Evelyn is how old now? 2 months? 3 months old. Evelyn is 3 months old. And this summer, her mommy, Miriam George, was named the Career and Technical Association of Texas's new Teacher of the Year for the state of Texas. All that and a brand new baby. And then next, we'd like to call up Miss Amanda Holman. We have 2 awards to talk about whenever it comes to Miss Amanda Holman. So East Central ISD was given a district award for the Showcase of Excellence for career and technical education programs. And Amanda accepted that award on behalf of the district. And then Amanda was named for the East Central, or for CTAT, the Career and Technical Association of Texas. She was named the Administrator of the Year. So we really are working hard. Whenever you come every month and you hear about all of our CTE programs and you hear about our music and our fine arts program, it's legit, y'all. We have people out there winning state and national awards. It's awesome. So we thank you. We thank the board for their support. We thank the families, husbands, wives, children, aunts, uncles, friends of all of our award winners. Would y'all please stand up? If you had a family member come up or a friend come up and receive an award tonight, if you'll please also stand up and be recognized, because we don't do it alone. It was a great summer for ECISD. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a pretty good start to a school year, isn't it? All of those awards, national level awards, state level awards. We have paraprofessionals who really stepped up, gave of their own time, continued their education, and our kids are going to be better for it. So we thank you very much for doing that. It's awesome. It's awesome. Lifelong learners, lifelong learners. All right. We're going to take a 10-minute recess so that those of you who need to go can go, and then we'll come back and reconvene our meeting and finish our business. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to get started with the rest of our meeting so that we can get finished up and all of us can head home. That was a really great start to the school year. Agenda item 6, public comments. We have one individual who signed up to speak to us this evening, Michelle Rodriguez, please.
Hi. So I hope you didn't miss me over the summer. But thank you for letting me speak today, and I hope y'all had a good summer. My name is Michelle Rodriguez, and I'm a mother of 2 students in the district. I'd like to start by saying thank you to the board for listening to parents, students, and teachers that weighed in on the issue of arming teachers and staff. I thank you for being open to continuing the conversation with us, and I thank you for tabling the issue for now. I understand that it's not a final decision, but I already feel safer sending my kids back to school knowing that they're in an environment that they will not encounter a gun in the classroom. I'd also like to say that I fully recognize that the reason that the school board considered arming teachers is to create a solution for the gun violence problem in our nation right now. And I'd also like to just inform you and offer a suggestion. There's a program called the Be Smart program, and it was actually presented and tabled at the Family Engagement Symposium at Legacy in January 2019. And it's just a program that reminds gun owners about safe storage in their homes and a way to keep children safe. Right now, data shows that 78% of school shooters obtain their gun from homes or from the homes of relatives or friends. So Be Smart would be a great way to help with the issue that we're all trying to solve. So I'd like to provide some information for you, and I have a handout. And I just want to thank you again for the opportunity, for letting parents speak, and for you all being open to listen to us and continue the conversation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
All right, item 7, public hearing to discuss proposed budget and tax rate. So this is opportunity for anyone who would like to speak to the tax rate or the tax rate and our budget to come forward and speak. All right, seeing no one, we will move on to agenda item 8, superintendent's reports. Item A, personnel report.
Trustees, this month's report can be found on page 3 in your electronic packet. This would be the time of year where you won't see much by way of resignations, et cetera, but you'll see a lot of new employees as we finished up all of our hiring to begin to kick off the school year. I'm very happy to report that all available teacher positions have been filled with qualified candidates, and so we're really excited. We've had a great start to the year, a lot of staff training, and we're really ready for the kids come Monday. And be happy to provide any additional information regarding anything in this month's personnel report to you at your request.
All right. Item B, board update 113.
Trustees, this particular board update is pretty involved, as will be subsequently update 114, which will follow shortly hereafter. In your miscellaneous packet, you'll have the vantage points that go along with update 113. As always, this is a good resource for you to start your inquiry and review of the recommendations that TASB has put forward for consideration with regard to amending budgets affiliated or associated with this past session. Also, beginning on page 33 in your electronic packet, you'll see the explanatory notes, which you may find useful as you review these policy recommendations over the next month. And we'll be bringing update 113 back to the board next month for your consideration.
All right, item C, construction update.
Trustees, at this time, I'd like to bring Mr. Selby to the podium. In your electronic, or rather in your miscellaneous packet, you'll see a one-page document that has a construction update with some talking points Mr. Selby will utilize to bring the board up to speed with where we are with the remainder of the projects from the 2016 construction program. Mr. Selby?
Yes, Mr. Toscano, board members, I'm proud to say that we're over the hump and pretty well complete, at least substantially complete on all the projects. The items that we're dealing with Tradition and PAC, we're basically working primarily on warranty items. There's a couple of things that are still outstanding, but very close to completing that. But the Pecan Valley, Sinclair, Salado, and Harmony projects have all not only reached substantial completion, but we have final certificate of occupancy for all of those projects. Up until then now, we've always had temporary certificates of occupancy. So now we have final. So very pleased with that. There's still punch list items for them to do there, but very pleased to say that an awful lot of those have already been completed, even though they only got some of those things a week ago. So I'm very pleased with the progress being made there. At Sinclair and Pecan Valley in particular, there's some landscaping that's still being finalized this week, but should be pretty much all completed before the kids get there on Monday. And then a few other miscellaneous items that they need to finish out. So the projects are coming to a conclusion, and I suspect by September's board meeting, October at the very latest, I think we'll be closing out the entire project. So I'm very pleased with that. The John Glenn project also is completed, and the tech stop work on the medians to help kids move safely from campus to campus area is completed as of today. And we can only thank TxDOT for helping work through that, and they've done a very good job and worked for TxDOT lightning speed, quite honestly. They did very good. We have some miscellaneous projects still out there. The name changes on several of the campuses will be completed, I believe, by this Saturday. And the foundation issues at Heritage have been addressed. And we have some miscellaneous projects that were smaller projects that are being completed or have been completed as of this date. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. I would just once again like to thank the administration and staff for their cooperation and very great professionalism in working through very difficult times over the last 2 years.
All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Selby? Great work. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Looking forward to your presentation next month. All right.
He will be pulling his camera back out, folks, just exciting preview. I would also like to publicly recognize Chief Ternowski. The project with TxDOT, while there were a lot of people involved in making sure that that happened, Chief leveraged some of his personal relationships to really get involved in that and expedite that program and to make sure that it was to our satisfaction from a safety standpoint. So Chief, we appreciate your efforts in that project as well as the rest of the team.
Very good, Chief. All right. Item D, upcoming events.
In your miscellaneous packet, August, September calendar, these calendars are starting to get busy. Of course, we've got volleyball and cross-country well underway, football well underway. A couple of things I wanted to point out. This Friday and Saturday, our volleyball team will be in a Northeast tournament. You might have seen they got a little bit of recognition in the last day or two because they've won 6 games in a row. They're a very young team, a lot of freshmen, sophomores, and very few upperclassmen, and they're doing really well. We've got a new coach as well on board, and just wanted to put a little plug on the support of the volleyball team. First day of school's Monday, and we are chomping at the bit to get those buildings full of screaming, excited to learn children, for sure. We have a special board meeting on Tuesday. It's a board workshop, and that'll be at 5:30, and we'll have dinner provided here in the boardroom. Also, many of you registered for an 86 legislative update at Region 20 from 6 to 8 on the evening of the 21st, Wednesday. Just wanted to remind you of that for those of you who registered for that. Football will have a scrimmage Thursday at the stadium at 7:30 in the evening. If you're able to attend, they've been working really hard as always, and we're really excited about the upcoming year. Meet the Hornets at the stadium Wednesday, the 28th at 7 o'clock. And then football, first home football game will be Friday, the 30th versus Corpus Christi Ray, and that's a senior parent night. We've got a special event at every home game, so we should have packed stands. Right, Mr. McKay, Ms. Ariola? Into September. Well, we can't have everybody go to work for a few weeks without a holiday. So Labor Day holiday, Monday the 2nd. Give everybody a breath of fresh air. And then we'll move to our next regularly scheduled meeting on the 17th at 6:30. TASA TASB convention is in Dallas this year. If you need more information, contact Ms. Zotz, and she'll make sure you get all squared away. But that's from the 19th to the 22nd in Dallas. And then on the 27th, we have a student holiday, and that'll be a staff development day. Be happy to answer any questions the board might have about any of the items in the August and September calendar.
All right. Thank you. Item 9A, resolution regarding extracurricular status of 4-H organization.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, trustees, we bring this to you every year, and essentially what we're doing here is asking you to consider acknowledging the Atascosa 4-H organization as an official extracurricular activity for the district. And what that will then do is enable our children who do 4-H projects through the Atascosa 4-H program to be able to be counted in school as a school-related activity for the events that pull them out of school for those reasons. What it also requires is the board to acknowledge a couple of adjunct faculty from the Atascosa 4-H organization. And that faculty is listed for you in, on several pages, but their credentials are listed for you there on page 331. Mr. Del Rankin has a master's degree from Texas A&M University Kingsville, and Duran Benavides has a bachelor's degree from Texas State University. They meet all the qualifications required to be determined an adjunct faculty. They're not our, while they won't be our employee, by acknowledging them as adjunct faculty, along with the Atascosa 4-H organization as an official extracurricular activity, our kids can take advantage of those programs when they're affiliated with the organization through 4-H. So I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions? No? I think we're ready for your recommendations.
Sir, I recommend board approval that Bear County Atascosa 4-H will be approved as an extracurricular activity for purposes of youth participation in projects, events, and activities. The Bear County Extension Director or his or her designee who meet all necessary criteria to also be recognized as adjunct staff members, and that students participating in 4-H extension educational activities be counted in attendance for foundation school program purposes.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve the resolution on the extracurricular status of the 4-H organization and adjunct faculty members. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Massengale. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Garza. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item B, 2018-2019 amended budget and information.
Trustees, at this time, our CFO, Ms. Judy Burns, will give the board an overview of the amended budget from 2018-19.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Toscano, and thank you, board. The first thing we're going to bring to you is the amended budget for 18-19. And this budget was the one that you initially adopted a year ago about the same time. And we've had a few changes. In fact, we only had one change this year that we brought to you for an amendment to the budget, was $9 million for our construction projects to finish out all the schools. And on this amended budget, I'm bringing you what I think our functions will be and what the cost will be. But I'm also going to have to add an additional $3.6 million to the facility budget line item to complete the projects that construction money is out, will be out by September. So that's the biggest increase that we have under the different functions and expenditures for the amended budget. And we have pretty much met our goal as far as our revenue accounts. We have increased some revenue. We're pretty well on the mark with the state money and with our tax money, but we have increased our revenue from miscellaneous sources, around $400,000, because better interest rates, more E-rate money, and those nice CPS rebates that Julio gets us. So that's all helps. Plus, we're going to be adding about $500,000 to other resources because we have excess money in our unemployment account, which needs to be moved back to our local maintenance account. So we're going to move that for this year. So basically on paper, it looks like we are over our revenue by $10 million, but we all know that by the time the audit is done and everybody is so conservative and so careful with their budgeting that we won't be over expenditure by $10 million. It'll be a lot less than that. And I think I know we will still be our 2.5 months fund balance with this amended budget. And as all y'all know, that this information will be part of our audit, and that's where the final numbers will come on what we spent for the 18-19 school year. So if y'all have any questions on the amended budget, please feel free to ask me.
I just want to add, trustees, to clarify, or just to remind everybody, this as we finish up the construction program, this is the aspect that we all told the community we would contribute to the program out of fund balance. And so those are the amendments that Ms. Judy's talking about there, that we're talking about as we close out the program.
Any questions?
The 120,000 savings on transportation, what was that attributed to?
Well, we have a book entry where we don't, we have to pay back transportation for any time a bus is used that is not for to and from school. And so that always gives us a little wiggle room. And what that helps is when I see another function needs a little money, I don't tell transportation, but I use a little bit of that to help offset, so I don't go to fund balance.
You just
And
told them.
I just told him. He's very happy to hear that. But also, I will tell you, transportation does an excellent job of keeping their budget in line. So whenever it comes time where I can see that, okay, maybe function 12, which is our library, we needed books for our library. I knew that when I would do the amended budget, that transportation, because of their great stewardness, that they would have the money that I could move there without having to come to y'all and say, hey, I need to move this from fund balance.
So the same with the food service?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Any other questions?
Mr. President, trustees, I recommend board approval of the 2018-2019 amended budget and information as presented.
All right, we have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept the 2018-2019 amended budget. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second? We have a second by Ms. Brazil. Any other questions or comments? We appreciate y'all's efforts.
Oh,
on
I
the budget.
appreciate everybody's effort in here. They all make this work.
Okay. So I appreciate all y'all's effort on the budget and the way that you handle the finances of the district. It makes it very easy for us to keep our fiduciary promise to the district when we have great people working to make sure that that happens and make sure that we can fund what we need for our kids. So thank you. All right, we have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept the 2018-2019 amended budget as presented. We have a motion by Mr. Garza. We have a second by Ms. Brazil. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item C, discussion and adoption of the 2019-2020 proposed budget.
On
Trustee-
page 345, but you go ahead, Mr.
I
Toscano.
was just going to preface the presentation on the proposed budget with just, as we all know, we've spent a lot more time on this budget than we have in many years. With House Bill 3, there were so many uncertainties, but so much excitement around the possibility of some new revenue. So all the way back to our, team building workshop where we started conversations about the budget, to our goal setting workshop, ultimately our budget workshop, and then last month's update from Ms. Judy. We spent the better part of 4 months really getting to this point. And so I just want to thank you guys for hanging in there, for asking really good questions, and of course to Ms. Judy and her team for the hard work to get to this point. It was a really, really difficult undertaking to understand all of the nuances associated with House Bill 3. So, Ms. Judy?
Okay, on page 345 is the proposed budget, and that's what y'all be approving for the different functions and the different revenue, and that'll be the proposed budget for 1920. And I'm happy to say that our general fund, our food service special revenue fund are both balanced budgets. We will not be having to go to fund balance for those budgets. And that's very rewarding that we finally do not have to go to the fund balance for the general fund and special revenue. Debt service, because of their interest rate, and we can't use the interest rate when we calculate the tax. We're gonna increase our fund balance for debt service. And construction is over with, so it'll be a zero amount. But what I really enjoy seeing is on page 346 is, for the first time in many years, the state sources, the percent of the budget has increased. The state is now paying more than what your local dollars are and your local taxpayers. So that is very nice to see that finally, the state is taking ownership of what they need to for school finance. So basically on the general operating budget, yes, there are some line items and functions that have increased. We've really increased instruction because of our salary raises and our compensation package. And we've gone down just only in 2 areas, and that is facility improvements, because all of our construction projects are going to be finished, so we've put $500,000 in there to start us off for facility improvements that we might need to do for 1920. And then we went down in instructional resources, which is, and the only reason why is because we did move money this year to buy like $120,000 worth of books for startup. We don't need that again. So that's the reason that line item is down. And basically it's been a long, hot summer with this budget and with trying to figure out what House Bill 3 meant, and also to be fair to our employees, fair to the district. And I know that we will probably be coming back to y'all for amendments over the next few months, because we're finding out more and more about House Bill 3 and what we might need to spend different monies on. But I have put that money in a line item, so as we figure those out, we will move them out appropriately, and we will make sure y'all know about that. And the only thing that I have to talk to y'all about besides the budget is that this year, for the summary of finances, they went to current year values on the formula for the summary of finances. Previously, it's always been prior year values, and so one of the things that they have required every school district to do is to talk about going to current year values from prior year's values. And so what I just did on page 353, I gave you TA's information on why they did it. So just take what they said is why they did it. It's probably a good thing, but it might not be a good thing for everybody. We might have done better if we could have had prior years, but now we're at current years, and they talked about lag time, and they talk about values going up and going down. But I also think there was a little bit that it helped the state in the money that they gave to us. So that is the reason why you see something different on page 353, is just for y'all's information. And that, I'll be happy to answer any question you have about the proposed budget for 1920.
Anybody have any questions? I think that over the last 2 months, you've kept us very well up to speed. I don't see anything here that's a surprise. You've been great about letting us know what was coming, and your crystal ball doesn't appear to be foggy at all.
I don't know. Thank you,
This is
though.
pretty much right on line with what
Yeah.
you've been telling us for a couple
Yeah,
of months.
I looked at the updated numbers from the state today. They have updated their summary of finances as they know it, and I'm within 400,000 of what they said, and for me, 400,000 is a good mark.
Okay. What version of the model did you end up on?
We're up to number 9
Number 9.
since about June 15th. We're up to number 9.
All right. They plan so well.
Yes, they do.
All right. We're ready for your recommendation, sir.
Trustees, I recommend board approval of the 2019-2020 school district budget as presented.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept the 2019-2020 proposed budget as presented. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second? We have a second by Ms. Barrientos. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you and all of your budget stewards for this tremendous piece of work.
They all did wonderful.
Very good.
All right, moving to item D, discussion and adoption of the 2019 tax rate.
Trustees, before Ms. Burns reviews the proposed tax rate for your consideration, do want to call your attention to a one-page document in your miscellaneous packet. And it's a series of bar graphs, and the title's ECISD tax rates. I felt it was important for you guys to have a historical view, at least in recent years, of where the total tax rate as well as the M&O and ISS tax rate was dating back to 2015-16, so that you can kind of have that for your information as well as talking points with your constituents, because this is a really big deal. We also know that House Bill 3 had two primary functions. One of them was tax relief, and the other was teacher compensation. And so part of what we're presenting tonight is a reflection of some of that tax relief, but a bigger part of that, in my opinion, is the really good stewardship of this board, not just in recent years, but for many, many years. And so, Ms. Judy?
Okay, our tax rate for 2019 will be 97 cents for M&O and 24 cents for interest and sinking, for a total tax rate of $1.21. And that is really good for our taxpayers. We have went from $1.32.5 down to $1.21, so it's an 11.5 cents reduction in taxes for our taxpayers. And a lot of that is not only to do with the state funding that they changed, but our interest in sinking, our payment went down dramatically. We're finished paying some of the higher bonds, and our payments went down probably a little less than $2 million, which helps our taxpayers. And so that's the reason why we were able to go down to 24 cents. Right now, I would love to give you what all the other school districts have done, but they haven't published it, and when you try to call them, they're not going to tell you. And so, but I looked at where everybody else is, and we will still be the second lowest tax entity in Bexar County for a school district. The only one lower, and I don't think we can meet with them, is because their INS rate is so low, is Alamo Heights. So it'll be Alamo Heights the lowest, and East Central will be the second lowest in Bexar County.
So as you can see, trustees, in the document that I presented, 2015-16, when we talked to the community about the possible bond program, we were at $1.26.5, and after all the construction program has been completed, you're considering $1.21 tonight. We told our taxpayers then that it was possible that it would be a 16-cent tax increase on top of the 126.5 cent, and we're actually coming to you tonight with an 11.5 cent reduction, which is 5.5 cents less than what it was in 2015-16. And that, I just think that that's important for our taxpayers to know and for you to be able to speak to. So.
Anybody have any questions? All right.
Trustees, I recommend board approval of a tax rate levy for 2019 of $1.21 for every $100 of assessed value as per the attached order. Said rate to be comprised of 97 cents for maintenance and operations and 24 cents for debt service. This year's proposed tax rate does not exceed the effective tax rate.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept total tax rate of $1.21 per $100 valuation. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second? We have a second by Ms. Brazil. Any other comments? Questions? Concerns? I hope there are no complaints. Dropping the tax rate's pretty good. And I want to thank the staff for maintaining our fiscal responsibility and for their exceptional performance on the bond issue, which kept us within budget, kept us on time, didn't have to increase those costs, and for working with our financial advisors to make sure that every time we could reduce our INS cost, those happened. That stuff just doesn't come out of the woodwork. It's because we have good relationships and y'all keep us working with the right people. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Here, here.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept the total tax rate of $1.21 per $100 valuation. We have a motion by Mr. Garza. We have a second by Ms. Brazil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item E, 2019-2020 Employee Compensation Schedule.
Also in your miscellaneous packet, trustees, is a little one-page handout, and it's got several bullet points, and then it's got a little chart that shows our TRS Active Care monthly premiums for our employees. All of the information on that little one-page document are just the talking points that I shared with the faculty and staff at our kickoff event. You're very familiar with all of these salary and benefits, compensation increases, as we've been talking about those right along with the budget development process. And so I just wanted you to know that I've just extracted those high points from the compensation schedule that Ms. Judy will present for your consideration tonight. But also thought that it'd be good for you to have for talking points with your constituents and colleagues across the district. So.
Okay, on the compensation schedule for our employees, I think that we're giving them a nice compensation package, which not only includes salary, but total compensation. And as we have talked before, House Bill 3 made us use what they called 30% of the total district gain had to be used on salaries. And what they did is they said of the 30%, you had to spend 75% on teachers, librarians, nurses, and counselors, and 25% of the remaining gain must be spent on all other eligible staff. And of course, you know that administrators were not eligible. We feel like the compensation package that we have is going to hit the 30% that we need to spend on the salary packages for those employees. And like Mr. Toscano has shown at the welcome back and shared with y'all, our compensation schedule is identical to what we brought to y'all back in July and talked about in June. And what Mr. Toscano said at the welcome back is that our teachers, nurses, librarians, their starting salary is going to be $51,500, which is the same as this year. But we really want to concentrate on our employees that have a little bit more years of experience. And so their annual increase, if they just look at salary, is anywhere from $1,600 to $2,400, depending on their years. But you have to not look at it as just salary. You have to look at it as total compensation. And many of our employees were going up on the health insurance. We're paying $103 more a month for those. So that gives them an additional around $1,200 more besides just what they say is salary as a total compensation. Plus it provides most of our employees the opportunity to have a high deductible health insurance. It's a plan for our employees. It also will help some to the employees who have employee spouse, employee family, so it's going to be a very big help. It's the right direction that we needed to go because we were under what we paid for our health insurance and our employees. But we're getting very close to being where other districts already are. And our counselors, they'll receive the same compensation increases as the teachers, nurses, and librarians based on their years of experience. Our counselors are on admin pay grade, but we made sure that if a teacher received a 3.5% raise with 10 years, the counselor received a 3.5% raise. We kept the same percentage of raise for our counselors, even if they were on admin and where everybody else is paid by midpoint. They're being treated just like the teachers, which is a little bit better raise for them. And our auxiliary and paraprofessional staff, they received a 3.5% increase at midpoint, and we increased all midpoint, all ranges by 4%. And bus drivers and monitors got, they don't receive a midpoint, but they received a 3.5%, so they would get the same. It's around $2.75 a day more for their routes. Admin got 3% of midpoint, and again, all three ranges were increased by 4%. And we had talked about this before, but this was really a very good thing to do for our behavior and life skills paraprofessional. They'll receive $2 an hour per hour increase due to the physical job demands they have. And our LSSPs, their stipend, because it's very hard with the job market to find LSSPs, we increase their stipend that they got from $1,000 to $2,000. And then our ECPD officers, we increased their days from 231 to 241, which will mean that we'll have more coverage all the time, plus some duties at night. So we had went down a long time ago on the days for our officers when we had a budget crunch a few years ago, but it was time to put them back to 241. And then what we're also doing that Mr. Toscano talked about, and I think there was a lot of excitement, is about the buyback at retirement. That a teacher, we were the only school district in Bexar County that did not pay for the state leave. So we realized we needed to do that. So we're not paying them as much as they get for local leave, but we are hoping that with this buyback at retirement, people will want to stay with East Central and they want to use all their leave, that they will stay in the classroom with their students, and that the year that they decide that they are going to leave, that they're not going to be out 2 or 3 days a week to use all their leave. So we think it'll be a win-win situation for the employee as well as the students and for the district. And another thing that we did is we are doing a incentive program to retain our highest need jobs, which are custodian, building mechanics, bus drivers, bus monitors, child nutrition workers. We've come up with a incentive program, and we've worked as a team to come up with the criteria of what we needed to keep these employees in their job. So if they follow the criteria, every 3 months they could get a $300 check if they didn't have more than 2 absences or 2 tardies. And we're hoping that that will stop the revolving door that we have, or at least curb it a little bit. So we're excited about that. And then this is another thing that I think that is really wonderful for the thought of Mr. Toscano and the employees, is we are going to work with a financial wellness advisor who does not sell product, and he is going to present to our employees what they need to do to have a good retirement when they retire, you know, in the future. But it's giving them the information they need about 403Bs, what's the good ones, what's the not good ones, and 457s, and it's just a way for them to make good choices for their own wellness and their finance. I will tell you, I wished I had had this 44 years ago, but you know, back then it was a lot different world. Plus sometimes some of our employees, I think they're overwhelmed by this. And this gentleman is very down to earth. He's not going to sell product. He's not going to tell, he's just going to inform our employees. So we're looking forward to that and to let our employees know what they can do, and to show them that East Central not only cares about their compensation package, but we care about them as an employee. So that is basically what we are doing for our compensation schedule. So if y'all have any questions, please ask. I'll be happy to answer, or Mr. Toscano would be able to.
Any questions? Again, I think everything's here that you've been telling us about for the last couple of months, so thank you for the presentation.
Okay, thank you all.
Mr. Toscano.
Trustees, I recommend board approval of the 2019-2020 employee compensation schedule as presented by Ms. Burns.
I have a recommendation from the superintendent to accept the 2019-2020 employee compensation schedule. Chair will entertain a motion. So moved. We have a motion by Mr. Massengale. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Ms. Barrientos. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item F, approval to amend TASB Medicaid billing contract.
Trustees, we brought this to you, I believe, last year, and this is with regard to the SHARS program, which is a program that allows districts who provide services for special needs students who qualify for Medicaid, that some of those services can actually be reimbursed. The cost of those services can be reimbursed to the district. And so it's very complex, and it requires a lot of attention to detail and documentation, et cetera. And so TASB provides that service. Generally, TASB will provide that service on a 3-year contract basis, and the terms of that contract would also require that contract to be, after 3 years, automatically renewed. And we felt like we wanted to have the opportunity to continue to look in the marketplace for a good value for this particular service. And we negotiated with TASB last year for a year-to-year contracted basis, so that we can be sure that their service is what we expect, and that their a product in terms of the software product that they provide is going to be acceptable. And so we are pleased with the last year's experience. And what we're bringing for your consideration tonight is for us to renew that contract with TASB for the TASB Medicaid billing service. For your consideration, be happy to answer any more specific questions if you have them.
Yeah, any questions? No? All right, sir, we're good.
All right, Mr. President, trustees, I recommend board approval of amending the term of the contract with TASB from the 3-year renewal to a 1-year renewal.
I have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve the amended contract with TASB Medicaid billing. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
A motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Ms. Barrientos. Any questions, comments? Not? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Does any board member wish to have a consent agenda item pulled? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Garza. Is there a second? We have a second by Ms. Brazil. The consent agenda is approved via unanimous consent. All right, before we move to adjournment, do you have anything else for us, Mr. Toscano?
No, sir.
All right. I hope that everybody has a wonderful Monday next week. So at my office, when people wonder why I'm smiling Monday, I tell them that Monday is your first opportunity to show off. You got kids coming back. I know you all are ready to show off because you've been preparing for it all summer. All right, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Massengale. We have a second by Mr. Garza. We are approved via unanimous consent. Thank you, everyone.